Get started here. And this is, again, this is our annual member meeting. Now, as a not-for-profit, we operate under a set of bylaws. So this is kind of the make sure you understand what we're doing from a legal perspective, because as a 501c6, we have certain things that we have to meet in order to maintain that not-for-profit status. And this is one of them, and that is operating our annual member meeting. There is a provision within the bylaws about voting. We don't have really any votes coming up. There will be an opportunity at the very end of this webinar if you want to bring up any new business. If we do have any voting, it is done by the Open Group Global Business Manager, so there is one vote per company. And again, if you want anything to bring up, I quite honestly would tell you, if there's things that you want to bring up, we have several opportunities, and the board is very open to you bringing information as well as complaints or anything that you want to take up to the board, and you can do that through myself or through Paul. Our current chairman is Renee at VMware, and we'd be more than happy to give you his email as well for any TSANet related business. Okay, but that's our official thing that we need to go through regarding the organization. And I want to kind of go through again my part of this, and again, Paul and I are going to kind of tag team at this, but what we want to do is basically kind of give you an idea of where the organization stands, what we've done, and where we want to go. And the one theme that we've seen throughout when we talk to our members throughout the year has always been this thing. We need to add more vendors. We want to get into the channel members. We want to look at doing that kind of thing. We want to improve on how we collaborate, which is the core of what TSANet is. And the reason that we were set up as an organization is to help our members collaborate. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And then there's this whole area around solution support that we feel, and the board feels, and a lot of our members feel, that this is where we need to take TSANet into the future. So what we feel is we've got the relationship set up, we've got the infrastructure set up, we've got the tools that you need, we've got the processes, and certainly we're here as an organization to help you achieve what you want to do when it comes to relationships and multi-vendor support. So that's kind of where we're headed, what we've done, and again, we try to remain a very member-driven organization. So we want to do that. Let me give you kind of a status on the membership. 2017 wasn't our best year. It kind of was flat as far as open group members, although I will point to the fact that we've really exceeded the companies when they join into open groups. They typically will come into the premium TSANet versus the basic TSANet. So, but you can see that our year-to-year growth in 2017 was pretty flat. We lost several open group members. Some of them were through merger and acquisition activity, which there's not much that we can do about that. Sometimes we lost the champion within TSANet. They didn't use it very much. And we want to try to do things, and you'll see how we want to try to help you adopt TSANet, because the members that are using this and really getting a lot of money out of their membership dollar are doing a lot of different things with TSANet. And we want to help you do that. We want to help you expose TSANet in the right places, and maybe expose TSANet in areas where you haven't done before. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But you want to give you an idea of the membership. Obviously, limited members make up the largest portion. Those would be the members that are coming into custom groups or a one-to-one relationship with a host company. And we're continue to convert a lot of those limited members into open group members, especially when they're coming in to more than one relationship. But that's where we stand, and we want to obviously improve our membership and continue to grow, as I mentioned earlier. Improve how we collaborate, right? You're going to see several slides on case exchange, and we've done quite a bit with that. We want to really look at that being a big part of our future as we move into 2018 and 2019. So we've done some things. We want to talk a little bit about that. And then we want to talk about the future of that as well. We've done a lot within custom groups as far as the microsites are concerned. We had some members have come to us and said, hey, why don't you do this and why don't you do that? It wasn't necessarily widely adopted, and we don't expect that it necessarily would be widely adopted by every member. But as we begin to transform the industry, we want to make sure that we're there with you. So we've done a lot to improve that collaboration platform. especially in the custom group area, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit as far as making the microsites. What we can do to help you with that as far as creating a microsite, even a landing page for new members to come into TSANet. We've done a lot of co-branding in 2017 that we think makes it look really nice. So if you're not familiar with using the custom group and the microsite or the landing page platforms, please get a hold of us, because again, this is how I think a lot of our members are taking advantage of their membership within TSANet. As far as the member web, you know, I would go back probably 3 years now that we've really started to work on the member web on how we can improve that collaboration mechanism, right? Outside of case exchange, what can we do to make it easy for members to be able to see, okay, this is how I need to collaborate, this is the information I need to capture, this is how I need to escalate, and things like that. So we put quite a bit of effort into these member web releases, and we were doing 2 a year. Paul's going to talk to you about where we think we're going to go in 2018, but we don't think that we've got a lot more areas of improvement in this member web right now. We've done a lot of things just within 2017 that we've listed out here to make it mobile friendly, and the shortcuts and the custom groups. Done a lot, and I will mention here number 6, internal notes. There are companies starting to take advantage of that. That is where you can actually put notes up there when your engineers go into the member web, and they can see, oh, I need to contact this particular company, and you can put in notes that only they would see. And it could be something specific to the relationships that you have with them, information, anything like that. But there's a lot of things you can do. The self-registration area is something that we did a lot of work with in 2017. And again, what we can do as far as who sees what, and when you create these custom groups, we've done a lot of work in that area. So if you're thinking TSANet is back, well, it's just one big thing and one big group, and I click on this and everybody sees everything, that is not the case anymore. We can do a lot of customization as far as who sees what and how you want to guide other companies into your space and into the relationship model, and how you want to collaborate with them back and forth. Case exchange has been a big thing, and I will tell you that we kind of, when we started out with this, we struggled with the adoption phase of this. Paul will talk about this a little bit more, but we've really made a lot of progress with case exchange, especially, I would say, within the last 6 months. And some of the features that we came out with, we now have the connectors, obviously, that we still maintain out there. But one of the ones, and the one most widely adopted by our members, seems to be the connector for Salesforce. We've done some work with that to make it Lightning compatible. We've updated the member help section in this, and we've looked at things that we can do as far as some of the customized fields. We can cascade some things down. It's not quite as clunky as it used to be, so we've done some improvements in that area. Paul will talk to you again about what we want to do, but we think this is going to be something that will be even more and more adopted, and we've got a slide here to show you kind of this current status and where we think we're going to go with the companies that have already implemented it and looking to implement it. The other thing is don't necessarily feel, if you haven't had a demo on case exchange, first get a demo of it, right? And then second would be, don't think that you're isolated just to what we're doing. We have looked at working with other companies, maybe that aren't one of the connectors, but we can still integrate into their CRM system, where we've done some custom notification templates. Sometimes those templates can actually integrate directly into the CRM systems. We've done some stuff with proof of concept through IBM. Again, the custom fields, maybe Paul, you want to talk a little bit about some of the things that we've done with some of the other companies as far as specialized integrating, I'll call it.
Yeah, so as far as the web version, we have seen more and more members choose that as kind of the starting point, and we've specifically focused on the email notifications. And again, we can modify that to, for example, put your case number in the subject field, or some special information in the body that allows you to bring that into your CRM system. So we've done that for members that are using Zendesk, members that are using some internally custom CRM system, Oracle is another one. So usually any CRM system that can take inbound emails and associate it with an existing case or create a new case would be a target for the web version.
And again, to kind of add on to that, and we've seen this as well. And I hope I'm not stealing your thunder because I know you're going to get into this, Paul. But you know, we've seen a lot of companies that have Salesforce that have decided not to implement the Salesforce connector just because it's not high on the IT list, but still been able to implement it through the member web and do some things with it. So don't necessarily think that if just because you're on Salesforce that you have to implement the connector. You can still implement through the member web version and even isolate it to a particular group if you want to do it that way. Okay. So this is the slide that we think is especially, I'd say, well, Paul, I guess over the last 6 months, you'd think we've really seen an uptick in companies implementing this, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I would say, you know, our strategy when we first started out with this was to focus on the really, really large members and the ones that everyone wanted to work with. And as you can imagine, those are the most challenging to have the discussions with the IT organizations and really get momentum. I would say, you know, we had a couple of big wins earlier this year on a few of the large ones, and that's now kind of started a bit of a snowball effect. So I'd say in the last 6 months or so, we've definitely seen a lot more members, you know, showing up on the web specifically, right? Some of them were Salesforce users that were standing in line as far as the priority of getting their IT teams to take a look at it and implement it. Even though it's simple to do, it's still a prioritization thing. So some of them have moved to the web as the first stage there, and we're able to do that very quickly.
So, and again, I would go back to, if you're not familiar with Case Exchange, it is part of the membership package. There's no additional fees involved in it. And so what we need to do is maybe set up a demo. If you want to do that, you can get a hold of Paul or myself, and we'll go ahead and set up a demo for you. So the other thing that, and this was just actually part of the very first slide, we were going to talk about solution support, right? And this has been something that I think even as an industry, it hasn't been clearly defined on exactly what it is. But what we've had is our members coming to us and saying, we think there's a way for TSANet as an organization to play in this space and help us out in providing this. And what we've seen from some of the companies, right, is they're looking to solve business problems, right? They're looking to solve a problem where they're providing a solution that involves multiple vendors, or it could involve vendors plus channel partners. There could be multiple different ways that this comes together. And the other thing that we've seen is that maybe, you know, that if they use TSANet, well, that means you're using a vendor-neutral platform. So it doesn't mean that I have to go out to my other partners or even vendors in the area and say, well, you have to use, if you're going to work with me, you got to do it in my space. And if I'm going to work with you, you got to do it in your space. We can provide that vendor-neutral mechanism for you to be able to do that. We've seen that as playing within the industry, and we think that that is an area where TSANet can really get involved in it. So when it comes to solution support, you can define it a lot of different ways, and companies are beginning to do that, but it seems to be kind of morphing into itself where I've got a solution that I want to provide out there to a set of customers, and I want to pull these companies in to make that the best customer experience as possible, the best customer experience as possible. And we think that within TSANet that this is how you can do it. We've already got the modules in place for that to happen. So we've already got the legal framework, right? We've already got the Case Exchange piece of it. If you're not even on Case Exchange, we've got the ability to use these microsites and the portals for you to come in that are just isolated to those companies and provide them a different path that you want to provide other companies. And if you look at our member list, we probably got the companies too. And if we don't have them, we got a way for us to be able to pull those companies in. So, you know, we think we've got a really good play within this area. It needs to be fleshed out a little bit more about exactly how you want to do it and how does it fit into your solution. And I think the other challenge that we've run across, and Paul will talk about this a little bit, is that you're usually dealing with people within your companies that maybe aren't familiar with TSANet, and maybe you're familiar with it from the support operational area, And when it comes to solution support, you're dealing with other areas. And so what we've done is we've done some things that we think that will help with that, and providing some brochures and some materials about introducing not only just the solution support model, but introducing TSANet plus the solution support model and how that will help them implement or bring a solution into the industry a lot quicker and a lot more efficient. And if you've been around TSANet long enough, you know that the difference between doing pulling in somebody into a separate cooperative support agreement and going back through the legal stuff back and forth and all that, as opposed to them saying, hey, we've already got this under control, just join TSANet, join into our custom group, and we're done. We think that plays a big role in this. So we've got some things to try to help you with that. We've made the change to the member web, and what we're really looking to do is to find companies where they think there's a play within this and pull those people in, the people in that can help make those decisions, that we think we can help you with TSANet in this area. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the finances. Again, this is the business meeting for the organization. Actually, from a financial perspective, our year-to-date, we just did our end of November, and we're actually a little bit of a plan. And we'd actually expected to lose a little bit of money this year. The board approved our budget last year. We wanted to do a break even. We didn't think we were going to quite do that. And actually, it looks like we're going to do that and maybe even a little bit better. So our revenue has actually been above target, even though we've lost a few companies. We've actually gained a lot of companies back in that premium level or the global premium level, and we want to continue to do that. So we expect probably to end the year about as we did with 2016. We're probably flat. And you're going to see what we want to do. And down here at the very bottom, just so everybody understands, right, what we're chartered with as a not-for-profit is to try to show that we put that money back into the membership. And over the last couple of years, that's exactly what we've done. You're going to see next year we plan on actually putting more money into the membership than we plan on bringing in. But that's why we have built up some reserves. So, and we've got about $820,000, which for most of you is going to seem like peanuts. But for us, that's about where we've been, right? Is we try to take that money in and we try to keep our membership down, so we haven't increased our fees or anything like that in several years, and try to keep that very palatable for the members to be able to join into the organization. But we want to keep a certain amount of reserve in there so that we don't have our members feel like, well, this company's not going to make it or whatever. We're actually in pretty good shape as far as that's concerned. So we're in a position to where we can actually spend a little bit more money, which is what we want to do in 2018. So we're planning on probably about $65K on the expense side over our revenue targets. Obviously, as we meet with the board throughout the year, we change that and do that kind of thing. But we try to plan these out to be investment years versus break-even years, that kind of thing, or even where we try to make a little bit of money to build up those reserves. And this, in our cycle, this 2018 is going to be an investment year. Where we're going to put that money will probably go into case exchange. I think a lot of areas that we're going to improve. Paul's going to talk about that. The other thing is, especially for me, since I was the first employee here, next year is our 25-year anniversary, and we think that for an organization to be around 25 years, that says a lot. So we're going to do some things with marketing. You're also going to see that we're going to refresh our public website, and actually a little ahead of a schedule on that. It looks really good so far. And the other thing that you'll see that we've done is started to look again internationally. We've always been a global organization, but when we globalized TSANet several years ago to be more U.S. focused, we kind of kept some things going in Europe, but we sort of didn't get some things going in some other areas, and we started to get back to a focus on that. And it's gotten to the point now, especially in Europe, where we think we're going to have a board meeting in Europe, which will be very good for our members our board members to go into Europe and actually have a meeting there. So but it costs money to go there. So we're going to spend a little bit of money doing that, but we definitely expect to get a return out of the investment on that. So this is kind of our high-level roadmap of where we're going. Again, 2017, I think this kind of sets up and shows you some of the things that we've done within 2017 within these areas in membership and marketing and adoption, as well as the operational area. But then looking at 2018, where do we want to go? In 2019, where do we want to go, right? And we always want to try to keep ahead. At the same time, we don't want to get too far ahead. So your feedback and giving us member input on where you want this organization to go is so vital. And it's why we have the strategy days, and you're going to see what Paul's going to talk about, how you can get more involved in what we do within the organization. So I'm going to again tag team a little bit. We're going to turn this over to Paul and let him walk you through more of the 2018 plans, and we'll go from there. Okay, Paul, you ready to go?
Sure. So yeah, moving into the 2018 plans, give you a sense, right? The strategy that Dennis showed you as far as kind of the long term of 2017, 2018, 2019. So we defined, kind of the long-term strategy. Now we're kind of moving into the do phase. So you'll see a lot of activities specifically in that kind of bottom section where we're enhancing the offering, and specifically you're gonna hear more and more about case exchange here as we move forward. But I want to start first with as far as how to get involved, and we kind of stress this as far as creating the strategy. It's a member-driven organization. Dennis talked about putting the money back in. We want to make sure that what we're doing is really aligned to what the members need. So obviously we have the board of directors. They're meeting 3 times a year. We've got monthly meetings. They're really kind of in this approval phase. Certainly they're providing some feedback and stuff as well, but they're kind of playing that role of making sure the decisions we're making are sound. What we've started to do, and Europe was the first regional focus group, and that's actually been going on now for a little bit over 3 years. We've had great success there, getting a team together, getting them to meet a couple times a year. They've got occasional calls, but they really appreciate the ability to get together, to network, to share and discuss topics that are important to them. So you'll see here in the coming slides that we really plan to enhance that and grow those regional focus groups. And then the third place we've got is committees. And the one that we're going to have in place here over the next 2 years, so 2018 and 2019, is a technology committee. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get into what we're doing on the system side. But it could be that there's other committees that get created along the way, but certainly now in 2018 and 2019, we plan to spend money on system things such as case exchange. We want to make certain that, again, they're aligned to what the members need. They're things you'll be able to take into use. Really kind of make sure we're all on the same page here before we create the enhancements.
And Paul, I want to mention before we move on to the next slide, just everybody understands this is not an appointed board of directors. It's an elected board of directors, and we have elections every year as we have board members coming up. The way it's set up is there's a certain amount of board seats that become available every year. Typically in March, what we'll do is we'll send out a call for nominations, and in April we'll actually have a vote. And the members will vote. Any open group member has 1 vote per company, and they actually vote in an 11-member board of directors. Okay.
All right, so kind of moving on then into what we plan to do with the regional focus groups. This gives you a view of where we will have focus groups. The 3 that are already in place, Europe, as I indicated, that actually started in 2013, so that's been going. I would say that that's really been the framework that we've used to launch the other 2 this year. So we started one in Australia. They've actually already met this year in Sydney. And then for India, we have just started that one. In fact, they just met last week in Bangalore. So those 3 are up and going. And again, we're kind of using Europe to be the best practice there and kind of replicating the things that made that a success here over the past couple of years. And then the 2 that we plan to start in 2018 is in North America. And this will largely be to replace, we used to have strategy days where I would invite members other than the board to 2 strategy days we had during the year. So we're basically going to kind of transform those strategy days and create a North America regional focus group, and those folks would get together on a more consistent basis than probably the strategy committee. So the expectation would be, just like we have Europe, you become a member of the focus group, and if you're interested in that, in any of these, I reach out to myself, and we'll get you kind of in the right context there. But Japan would be another one that we plan to start in 2018. That'll probably be later in the year. So North America, we plan to start right away, first part of the year. In fact, the first face-to-face meeting will be the end of February, so you'll hear some information about that here very shortly. But then Japan's probably going to be kind of coming in starting towards the end of summer in 2018. So that one will be a little bit further. But still, if you've got people that you feel would be interested in those, and again, it could be some team members that you have in other sites or regions, just contact me and we'll start to bring them into those sessions. Okay, and then moving on to the technology committee. Again, this is another way to be involved. This is most committees are put together basically on direction of the board of directors, right? And it's usually related to some thing that we're doing that we really want to have some structured member feedback. So this tends to be members that are defined, during collaboration with the board. So you can see myself and then Kenny, who's a member of the board, are owning this committee, and then we've got the list of members that are going to be part of that. And we do plan to have some quarterly calls and a couple face-to-face sessions in 2018. And really, as far as 2018 goes, and in addition to kind of defining more of the long-term 2-year, what should we do with the system stuff, there'll be this very specific focus on case exchange and what's the next step in that area. So pretty important stuff here in the technology committee. So then moving into 2018 events, and it might look very busy, and that's because it is. There's going to be quite a few events, especially on the regional side. But what I tried to show here is a little bit some of the alignment to the board as well as the regional session. So what we're doing is really kind of aligning the board meetings with regional meetings. So we've got 2 alignments that are happening with North America, so it'll be co-located. This gives the board the ability to kind of come into those regional meetings and participate as well, which I think provides a lot of value. And then you can see the one happening here with Europe as well, so some alignment there. So this gives them, the board, also exposure to the feedback from other members as well. And then you can see the technology committee meeting here, and then for the other regional meetings, again, the expectation is we'll plan 2 meetings each year. Could be that there's more, so we're not dictating, no, you can't have 3 meetings. So for example, if the India focus group says, we prefer 3 meetings, we are letting the regions kind of drive a little bit more of the content that they're discussing and frequency, because a lot of times it is a little bit different in each area. But the view is you need at least 2 face-to-face during the year to really kind of get that networking piece in place and get some momentum in these regional sessions. Okay. So then moving on into other activities for 2018. Dennis indicated we've got a new public web. So this is something that will be brand new design, very kind of modern, responsive design. So that should give it kind of a nice, fresh face, so to speak. From the content side, there is also going to be a very big effort to really kind of review, update a lot of the content. As you kind of imagine a site being in place for many, many years. We may have some stale content there, some content that's really not aligned anymore to what we're focusing on. So all the content will be reviewed as well. We do plan to kind of simplify the navigation, so very kind of task-based. So again, kind of part of the theme of simplifying the site to be more modern, less kind of polished content that's very targeted at what users are going to be doing on the site. And part of this as well, if you're not aware, within the member web, there's two pieces of that website that come from the public site. The first is there's a feed for all the blogs that have things like the webinars, or this member meeting, for example, shows up in the member web, but also member help is in there as well. So those two things will be refreshed as part of the public web as well. So you'll see some new content showing up in the member web in addition to a new public website coming live. And this is planned to be in place in time for the first meeting of the year, the spring meeting, February 22nd. So that's kind of what we're targeting the go live to be for the new public website. Okay. And then moving on into the 25th anniversary. Dennis indicated this is a big milestone here for TSANet. So we do plan to do a few things here. Social media obviously plays a big role for us. So we'll have during our social media calendar, really kind of through the whole year, making sure we emphasize this 25 year. There's a little bit of looking back, looking forward, but in a way kind of making sure we're celebrating that milestone. You'll see it as part of the public website. The one kind of key event that we do go to, TSW Vegas, that's part of a TSIA events that they have. We'll have some special branding for that. And then also all those other meetings that you saw through there will be kind of part of branding that and making sure that we make sure it's part of everything we're communicating. So just kind of becomes part of the overall 2018 marketing plan, making sure that we've got that 25-year milestone being communicated in there. Okay, so then moving into the next one, and this one was, I would say, one of the nice outcomes of the fall strategy day that we had at Cisco earlier this year. And this is where we kind of broke up into different groups and kind of brainstormed, and one of the great ideas that came out of that was, we kind of need and it was coined as a TSANet in a box, right? So this is, arguably kind of part of, we'll call it the new member help area, but being something that's very packaged around what stage you're in and what you're looking to do, right? So it'd be the type of thing where you're coming in and you're onboarding as a new member. You don't have to go to 3 different places to get 3 different pieces of information. And if you want to activate this feature, it's over here. So it's really kind of making sure it's very organized and step by step to get you properly onboarded. Same thing with, hey, you're onboarded now. You would like to improve usage for TSANet. You'd like to improve adoption, training, awareness, all those types of things. Making sure all of that is nicely packaged together and kind of step by step to get you through that. Same thing with you're a new member and you would like to move into exploring a technology partner program or doing something around solution support or activating CRM version of Case Exchange, those types of things. Same thing. There's kind of several steps that take place there, making sure all that stuff is packaged together to make it very simple and easy for members to take advantage and really get the value out of TSANet. So you could view this as very much aligned with the new public website launch, but this is where the public websites, it's really kind of tuned towards communicating to non-members so that they become members. This is very much focused at members and making sure that members get the most value out of TSANet. So a little bit different use cases here. Okay. Then if we move into the solution support area, and again, this is one of the new areas that we've got on this side. As you saw in 2017, we spent some time on some marketing materials, creating brochure, those types of things. We do still have work to do there, specifically around the custom group materials. So the view is that we'll refresh all of that material, be part of this TSANet in a box effort to really kind of define the very specific use cases around this and what it takes to get it going. some good clear examples and stuff around that as well. Just basically making it much easier for you to communicate to your stakeholders and get these types of solution support things in place. The other thing we want to be able to do is really kind of document both what features we have, right? So as Dennis indicated, we have the concept of a microsite, right, where you can share files, kind of organize your members of that, kind of a team site type functionality. We've got things like case exchange. So we have a lot of things that we already have in place that you could use within your kind of private solution support. But we are also very open to create custom technology solutions. So, as I see this area, if you're a member, you kind of have two choices. We can create it ourselves, or we can create it with TSANet. And I think what we want to make sure is it becomes clear that you could create it with TSANet, and generally speaking, it should be faster and more vendor neutral, allowing you to be much more successful at bringing your partners into that type of a common structure, right? So whether it's system-to-system integration, collaboration through a web portal like the member web, we want to make sure that that's something that if you need some unique features or technology there, that's something we're very open to doing. Documenting some of our existing stuff, and as I look at solution support as far as when you'll see that, those are things that, again, as indicated, we have stuff that we can do right now today. So we see this as kind of through the year, continuing to look for solution support opportunities. And this is definitely where the regional focus groups can help, right? They're getting together, they're meeting, because some solutions very much could be focused on a region or a vertical. So I think it's very difficult to sit here at a global level and say, well, here's all the solutions, right? There definitely solution support might look a little different in Japan than it does in the US. So we do want to make sure that we get the regional focus groups involved in this topic specifically. Okay. So the next piece on the system plans, and I would say that this is much larger than the single slide is showing. I think you'll see some details coming out in this after the first session in the spring with the technology committee. But the kind of the step through here as far as the system plans is first to get that kind of high level 2-year plan, making sure that we're going in the right direction, we're kind of making the right architecture decisions and things that are going to work for our members, right? The last thing we want to do is we spend some time and money and develop a solution, and only half of our members are willing to take it into use, right? And specifically with case exchange, we feel that we've been in this I don't want to call it pilot mode, but we'll call it first phase mode, where it was an option, and we've been kind of pitching it to members and bringing them on board. As we kind of talk through, we're starting to see some real good momentum on that now exiting in the year. So we feel we're at that milestone where we need to make it the new baseline of collaboration. And to do that, we certainly need to enhance the functionality, the usability and stuff of the web version, right? Because the web version should be able to be used by everyone, be able to kind of fulfill that baseline of collaboration. Then certainly on top of that, it can be enhanced with, hey, I would like to use a CRM connector instead of that, or I'd like to turn this or that functionality on. But getting the member web to basically be extremely integrated and case exchange to be the default method of collaboration is where we see this going. So a lot of work certainly is going to need to take place on that through 2018 to make that work. And as far as timing on that, we do plan on a single release next year. So we've in the past have had a spring and a fall release. For this year, the spring really will not be new functionality for the member web. The main thing for the spring will be that new content that's going to be fed over from the TSANet in a box and the new public website, driving some new refresh content over to the member web. So that will be kind of the spring piece. But then the fall, we do expect really kind of a major release that would incorporate the things we're doing for Case Exchange. Okay, and I think that wraps it up.
It does. If there's any other business, if you want to ask a question or something like that, the question area is open, and we'd invite you to do that. While we're kind of wrapping things up here, you know, again, our email addresses are down there. So if you've got any questions or anything like that that's come up throughout this, or you've got questions regarding any of the features that we have or we're coming out with, or the plans that we're coming out with, we want you to send us an email. We're more than happy to talk to you about it. And we do have a question here. February dates and meeting again. We have I think we have the February dates set, right, Paul?
Yes, and we'll have a blog that goes out here before the end of December for that, and then we'll also send invites out. But I would say if you're not on the board and you would like to be part of the North America focus group, then email me directly. I'll get you on that and get you in the invite list. Yeah,
we're definitely looking for participation, and it's not to say we haven't had it, because we have. Some of our strategy days have been really, really productive and very helpful. So those of you that have participated in them, I mean, that's a huge source for Paul and I to get feedback on from the members on where we want to take the organization. So we certainly appreciate that. But yeah, always looking for more involvement, and more than happy to have you come out. I think that's going to be it, Paul. So certainly, again, any closing comments that you have on your side?
Not for me. I think we covered it all.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for your participation in this organization, helping us drive it to be better for the industry and better for your membership. And we look forward to working with you in 2018. Wait, we got one more. If my company plans to move to Salesforce across teams in 2018, would you know if they would need to contact you in order to implement the connector? And the answer would be, yeah, they should get a hold of Paul, right?
Yep, definitely. Yeah. So usually what we do on the Case Exchange side is we have a demo to basically show people, you know, here's the experience in Salesforce, here's the experience in the web. But then, you know, as far as next steps, when you're going to go with a Salesforce connector, again, we tend to work with your Salesforce admin to get it in your sandbox, get it kind of part of that test plan there for go live. So a little bit more activity needed for the connector. So definitely reach out to me and get that started. Yeah, and again, if you're not familiar with Case Exchange, really should schedule a demo just so you can see what it is. I mean, this is what your organization is kind of doing, and we're looking to expand it into the future. So, okay, give it just another few seconds here, and if we don't. Yeah, and I guess I would reiterate that on the Case Exchange side. You know, I think it's been, you know, if you've been kind of sitting on the sidelines the past couple of years saying, "No, just kind of wait till it's really here," I would say it's really here. So definitely now time to pay attention to that, especially we get into 2018, and you know, the goal is to really make this a new default way of working. So if you're, you know, been interested but haven't really taken any steps there, definitely reach out to me and we'll get you a demo and start discussing it. And help us evolve it, right, as we move forward with it. Exactly. Yep. Perfect timing for that. Yep. All right, guys. I think that's going to be it for the questions. Again, appreciate your membership and your interest in TSANet. We will look forward to working with you in 2018. Thanks, everybody, for attending. Great. Thanks. All right. Bye-bye.